This is the Roller and the Stroller podcast. I'm Josiah, the roller, and I was born with cerebral palsy and navigate the world in a wheelchair alongside my best friend Kelly, the stroller.
In this podcast, we discuss living with a disability, adapting to surroundings in a wheelchair, and the challenges we face together. We talk about things like going to concerts, traveling, everyday tasks, and sports.
But also get into deeper topics like religion, self-talk, medical needs, and some of the frustrations of using a wheelchair. We will give insight on how to enjoy life with a disability
and share advice on how to understand someone with a disability.
Welcome to the Roller and the Stroller.
This podcast is a sidewallstudios production. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Roller and the Stroller.
I'm Josiah. I am your resident roller.
And I'm Kelly, and I'm your stroller. Happy New Year, Josiah.
Happy New Year, Kelly.
What are we starting the year off with?
The new year is all about resolutions, okay? And in that vein, I want to talk about some challenges I deal with on the daily, but also I want to strive to overcome.
As a wheelchair user?
As a wheelchair user and somebody with a disability. Because oftentimes challenges stem from having a disability. You don't have to use a wheelchair in order to have some challenges.
Sure, right.
Yes.
It's not like I don't have any challenges because I can walk,
yeah.
Right.
But we are going to specifically discuss some challenges that I have because of my disability in wheelchair use. And then we can go into some of yours if you want.
Okay.
But the number one thing I think about when I'm thinking about challenges is pain. Okay? And pain management. You often ask me why I lean.
Yes, yesterday we were on a walk, and Josiah was really
I was
leaning.
not on a walk.
Sorry, you were on a roll. I was on a stroll, you were on a roll, and you were really lean to the side. And I was like, what's up?
Yeah, that's for, because my upper body overcompensates for my lower body. I often find myself in peculiar body positions, whether that's for stability, whether that's for strength, whether that's for movement. It has a toll. It takes a toll on my body. So that is probably the main challenge, dealing with the pain and pain management. Obviously, I have some chronic pain issues that go into having a disability, but that is my number one thing. And I try to straighten out as much as possible, but it also has to do with the weight balance of me using a wheelchair and making sure I can get the proper leverage.
And you favor your right hand. I noticed that when you're wheeling. So does your right shoulder hurt more than your left or no?
No, it's actually the opposite.
Weird. Why? Because your left side is so weak or what?
Yeah, so I'm right hand dominated, but my whole right side of my body functions more and more efficiently than my left side of my body.
I feel a little tall right now. I'm trying to fix my posture.
You're trying to fix your posture?
Yeah, now that you're talking about it, I'm like, oh shoot, I don't really need freaking.
Are you in pain?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that you said it. Again, we did a episode on chronic pain. Go check it out.
Yes.
And the more I think about it, the more I'm in pain. So I try not to think about it. But when we start talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, there it is.
I just get muscle stiffness and spasticity, particularly. But every time my legs shake and go off, it kind of hurts.
Sure.
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So pain is your biggest challenge.
Yes.
What's next?
And then I can stretch. I can take, I take a lot of like Tylenol or Aleve or ibuprofen, and that helps. But I can do some things to manage it, and we talked about that during the chronic pain episode.
Yeah. What's another challenge for you?
Oddly enough, spacing. I often, I find myself in tight spaces, and I have to navigate. So my wheelchair is a part of me, attached to me when I'm using it. It's an extension of my body, but when I'm taking a tight corner or something like that, I often crash. So my wheelchair upkeep needs to be pristine. And I often find myself in tight spaces or like with little lips or speed bumps or little steps. It's difficult to navigate through, but I do it.
You do. I have a relatively small kitchen, and every time you're in there, I feel really bad because there's not a ton of room for you to like get around.
But I help you do your dishes.
I know, and it's to the point where like you guys can't see, but I have a little wall like a little bar. And so like if you're in the kitchen, I will just jump the bar instead of like trying to make you move.
Yeah, but your house is for you.
Oh, well, I know, but I do think about that sometimes as like, oh, this sucks. My kitchen is relatively small.
Oh, well.
It'd be like that.
If you didn't have a friend that took up so much space, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I take up a lot of space, and I often feel like bulky, and I'm trying not to say I'm in the way as part of my resolution, but I often feel that way. And sometimes, granted, I am physically in the way, and that's okay. I can move. But it can be difficult to navigate through.
So spacing.
Because when I'm navigating rough terrain like we just did at the zoo.
Oh, yeah.
And my wheels were wobbling and I wanted to go down the hill. I kind of did.
It's not a hill. It's a mountain.
It's a little hill.
Okay.
It's a mountain. It's called Cheyenne Mountain. But I kind of did it.
All right. What's your next challenge?
You know I did. Say it.
No, we stopped you because your front wheels were shaking.
Say it.
Didn't we stop you?
Yeah, but after you let me go down a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Also, the next challenge is it's hard to move my body because I am largely sedentary most of the time. It's hard for me to get active. But I try my best. That's why like I wanted to go on that long stroll and roll.
Yesterday?
Because I wanted to move my body around. Because me staying in the same position, often my muscles and bones feel stiff. So in order to kind of mitigate those effects, I try to move as much as I can. But it can be a challenge sometimes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes my body just ain't feeling it. Okay? My body's like, nope.
I bet it's hard to balance overworking your body and then getting enough work into your body.
Yeah, that's one of the main things.
Yeah.
One of the main concerns that I have. That eventually is my body going to age out.
Because it's not like for me, if I hurt my knee or my knee is sore, I can just kind of like
walk it off
or like depend on my other leg or just kind of chill, for a little bit. But that's different with you. Like you can't rest, I feel, as much because you use your arms to get around. So like if you hurt your arm or they're too tired, it's not like you're like, oh, I can take a day off. No, you can't. You have to use your arms to move yourself because you can't use your legs.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to explain what I'm trying to say, but...
No, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Hashtag no days off. I was at a place about a week ago, and they were talking about leg day. And I was like, I can't relate.
Can't relate.
And they busted out laughing. And I was like, what? I can't relate.
Well, yesterday you and I were outside. I was strolling and you were rolling. And that guy like literally looks at you and goes, nice day for a walk. And I was like, we were both like, yep. And then like a few yards down that we just started laughing and you were like, can't relate.
Can't relate. And you said, missed a perfect opportunity.
I know. I was like, you should have replied. But it's okay. It was funny.
My next struggle is, I would say, transportation. Getting to places I need to be. Because we talked about how I often use rideshare. I have no problem explaining how to take apart my wheelchair, but I often worry about the potential damage it's taking. So because of that, but I also really don't know what to do or how to mitigate that,
Yeah, you'd have to get a car.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you're open to doing that.
Maybe eventually.
Yeah. That would give you a lot of freedom. And you don't need an accessible car. You can drive a regular car with those hand pulls.
With those hand controls, yeah.
Yeah.
But insurance would be outside the roof.
Well, I asked my friend who was in a wheelchair about his insurance. I was like, does insurance cost you more because you're in a wheelchair? And he said no.
He said no?
He said no. So it might be a conversation that you two have to have.
What?
Yeah.
What?
He doesn't have an accessible car. He just straps those poles onto his pedals. So he can literally drive any car except for stick shifts because he uses his hands as the gas pedals.
Gas pedal.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's a conversation you'd have to have with him because I'm kind of ignorant on it. All right. So transportation.
And then my final challenge is my mind. Is my mind. You will attest to this, I think. I'm very stubborn.
Yes.
And I am very if I want to do something, I'm going to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
And people can tell me, I don't know if you can do this. And I'm like, watch me. But then sometimes I'm like, I can't, I'm a failure, I'm trying to work on that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on that. So
Okay.
it's me versus me is my biggest fight
Okay.
most of the time.
Well, I would say that the years that I've known you, you've gotten better at it.
Thank you.
You really
And
have.
because of my disability and the pain that it can cause me, or the physical limitations that I have, I'm able to be in a situation where the place that I live is very accessible for me,
Yeah.
and I don't have to reach very high. But when I do, I make sure I can reach it in my chair. But when I'm in other places that are less accommodating, it can be a challenge. And so it's hard for me sometimes to not get really down on myself. So that's what I would say is me versus me.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest...
Do you think that would still be a fight if you weren't in a wheelchair?
No.
Really?
No.
Interesting. Okay.
I would not.
So all the 5 things that you just... It was 5, right? All the
Yes.
5 things you just mentioned pretty much all correlate to your wheelchair.
Yep.
Okay.
What are some challenges that you have seen me take on, or that we have taken on together, that you were surprised by, or that you weren't expecting?
I don't know if this is a challenge, but something that I would think would be more of a challenge, but it's really not. You're really low maintenance. And I don't know how to explain that. I feel like you don't ask for a lot, and sometimes you might suffer because you don't ask for things that might help ease your pain. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I see sometimes. Like, I know you like to advocate for yourself, but sometimes I'm like, I just don't understand. I don't know. It's really hard to explain.
Like, no, you could do it in 3 seconds for me if I just asked you. And
Yeah.
I have to take 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Who cares? Yeah, but there's no way. I have lights on my home right now. There's no way I can take them down.
Yeah. I know. You could
But
do it.
No, but that's the kind of things I'm talking about because of my physical limitations and my disability. I cannot take down my lights, but I want them up still
I know you do.
right now.
Yeah, but I think I'm getting more of like if you go somewhere and a chair is in the way, instead of like you asking for it to be moved, you move around it.
I
see
move
that
it
a lot.
myself.
Yeah, I see that a lot in you. It's like, instead of you asking for help or asking for things to be the way that you need them to accommodate your disability in your wheelchair, you figure out a different way. And I'm like, it would be so much easier if you just asked for what you needed. But you have this idea in your head that you need to prove to people how independent you are.
Well, yeah, there's that, but also, let me know if this rings true for you. The world is not going to accommodate me.
I think it would more if you asked for it. That's just what I see. That's just what I see. I don't know. Sorry. But we were at church and we sat in the accessible area, and part of it is on the slope, so you have to get out of your chair and sit on the pew.
Unless I want to be the whole service going like this.
Yeah.
Balancing my chair.
Right. And the lady behind us was like, yeah, I sat there last time, but it was a struggle because I felt like I was tilted down. And you said like, well, maybe the church will change it. And she goes, I don't think they're going to change it for 2 people. Do you remember that conversation?
Yep.
And I was like,
is she wrong? Is she not wrong?
I don't know. Has she ever brought it up? Have you ever brought it up to that church? That church might be completely ignorant.
How can you be ignorant of that?
I would never notice that.
Yes, you would.
No, I wouldn't.
Absolutely.
I would not notice that if I weren't with you. In fact, I don't even think I noticed it until she mentioned it, because remember I asked you, is that why you always get out of your chair?
That's why I got out.
I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Oh.
That's why I asked you that question. Oh, Josiah, that's why you always get out of your chair and sit in the pew?
I don't want to be on a slope.
I thought you just wanted to sit in the pew so you could hold on like a concert to the pew in front of us.
No, because I sat down the whole thing.
Yeah.
I didn't want to like hold it to stand up or nothing.
Well, I don't know those things, so I'm just saying maybe we bring it to the attention of the church. Maybe they don't do anything. That's fine.
Maybe they should hire somebody who needs accessibility.
Maybe they should.
To come in. I'm
just saying that sometimes you should be asking for help or bring it to people's attention so they know. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's like, that's a challenge I see for you. You might sometimes always think that other people should already know this, or I'm going to find a way around this, instead of attacking the problem straight on.
But then see, if I tell them and they say okay, then they don't do anything about it.
But at least you made your voice known.
I'm going to be like, well, that did nothing.
But you still did it.
Why is it worth my time and effort and energy. Sometimes you gotta pick your battles, you see.
I'm just saying that if you don't speak up, sometimes things might not be done, right? Let's talk about the Levitt Pavilion. I told you, you need to get on their Google reviews or the summit and write how you felt about the accessible areas. And you wouldn't do it because you're like, okay, well, they might not do anything, right? But what if they did? What if they were like, oh, crap, dude, we never thought of that because I'm ignorant when it comes to things like these. What if they are too? So you asked me what some of my challenges, that's just my answer. It's like, sometimes I think that you don't ask for what you need. Yeah, you don't ask for what you need or ask for help a lot. Like today, you did ask me, can you hold my backpack? And I was like, okay. That's a big step for you.
Can you hold my BP?
Like a lot of people are like, that's freaking stupid. But that's a big step for you to ask me to hold your bag or ask you to help or can you push me or something like that. You never used to do that. No. And now you're like, oh, okay. And part of me thinks it's because of this podcast.
No, it's because of my body.
We're discussing a little bit more in depth about our relationship. And
it's because of my body.
Okay.
And this podcast. I would think so. I love this podcast.
All
okay.
Right. Oh, I know. It slaps. Okay, so that's my answer. Do you accept it?
Wait, your biggest challenge is that sometimes I'm too stubborn.
Yeah. No, you put it in a negative way. It's sometimes I don't ask for help. Sometimes I see you suffer because your lack of asking for help. That's what I see. And I have to keep my mouth shut.
Why?
Because.
Oh, why?
You gotta think for yourself. I can't boss you around and tell you what I think is best. I just have to let you fly.
Yeah. Fly. Well, a lot of people, like they moved the chair for me at a restaurant.
I know, but I'm just saying in general.
See, I don't want to, the real reason is I don't want to be seen as an inconvenience. And as I'm getting over that, I think I can ask for help.
So that's essentially your number 5 is your biggest challenge is you. That's what you said.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I would agree.
My biggest challenge is me.
Yeah.
So number 1 is my pain. And number 5, I put it as, but it's really
the biggest.
Me versus me.
Oh, okay.
Me versus me. Okay. Does that all make sense?
I could see all those being a thing.
Do you have anything that I didn't mention
not that
you
I
want
think
to
of.
talk about as a challenge we face together?
I would think that you would need more resources available. That's what I would say. Meaning wheelchair parts, more places that you can get it fixed for cheaper or like better ways to help alleviate the pain. Maybe easier transportation options.
Yeah.
I would say that I would feel like people with disabilities or wheelchair users need more avenues to do things.
Yeah.
That's what good. I would think.
Here's what I don't need. A cushion that costs $500.
Exactly. You need that. It's not something that you choose to have. It's not a luxury item. Right?
A cushion that costs $500.
Yes. That is not covered by insurance. Correct?
I think it would be not. I don't know. Like some insurances cover it and then others don't.
Okay.
And then some of them have high deductibles and all of that.
Which is
jazz.
Crazy to me. Yeah.
And so
okay.
That's a struggle too.
Well.
All right. What is your musical recommendation today? The first episode of 2024.
Mine is going to be a song called Play with Fire by Olivers. It slaps. Go listen to it.
By who?
Olivers. Oliverse. Okay. It might be Olivers, but I say Olivers.
Olivers?
Slaps.
You know, mine is, so we've been talking a lot about me versus me. My musical recommendation is by a band called Memphis Mayfire. And they have a song called Vices. And one of the lines is, me versus me is my biggest fight. So there you go.
Fair.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening to if your New Year's resolution is to listen to a podcast, you picked a good one.
Boom.
Boom. Thank you.
And if it's not, what a great time to pick it up.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening to The Roller and the Stroller. We will talk to you next time.
I have been Josiah, your resident roller.
I'm Kelly, and I'm your stroller.
Bye.
BB.
Thank you for listening to the Roller and the Stroller podcast. We're rolling out.
This is a Sidewall Studios production.
Boom! Oh, we should keep that moving.